Welcome to today's meditation. Thank you for being here. Go ahead and get comfortable. I love you. I'm so glad to spend this time with you. Today, I wanted to talk about this perception of how we spend our time talking about others. So there are people that have a very beautiful and strong energy, and they have an ability to see things in a very complex and cosmic way. Change is the nature of the universe, and people are very uncomfortable with change. So often when people see things in a different dimensional way, it can be so shocking to that person's belief system and how they nestle themselves into the world. That person becomes a source of them personifying change. Now, many people would prefer to point fingers at one another because it's easy to say that other people are the problem, right? At the end of the day, the way my mind works is that if there is a problem, there should be a solution, right? It doesn't make sense that people naturally are problems. It makes sense that a problem is a reaction, and there should be some way to solve this. And that is one of the greatest joys, mysteries, struggles, trials, tribulations, is finding these solutions and figuring out how to bring them forward. Unfortunately, when we pile problems up in our own life, right, we become so overwhelmed that sometimes pointing the finger at others is easier because that means they can solve the problem for us and we don't have a problem. I think that's the preferred option for a lot of people. I'm sure you have experienced this. We all have. It's definitely at moments necessary to illuminate other people and what they're doing when it is seeping into your world and you're handling your own problems and being responsible. But when you're not handling your problems and you're looking for an outlet, right? What is an outlet? An outlet is somewhere that you draw power from. So it's very interesting to think of these outlets of gossiping and talking about other people. And those are actually places where you're drawing power from. So why have you chosen this specific individual or person to talk about? There's something within you that's drawing power from that, actually. So ultimately, this person must be very strong. They must have a lot of energy, especially if a lot of people are talking about them. And the true strength would actually be not talking about them and focusing on yourself and figuring out a way to cultivate power within, because you can. And gossiping is inherently toxic because there's really no purpose in gossiping. And if you look at the etymology of the word, it is connected to God, mother, God, father, meaning that you're creating an energetic being, if you will, that has either a connotation of positive gossip or negative gossip. Hardly, if ever, is it neutral. Let's be real. And that is drawing energy one way or another from this person. And in a way, creating perhaps hurdles or bubbles if this person chooses to engage with that. And so this is another lesson. When there are false narratives circling around you, don't engage. These are energetic wormholes of gossip, which is from the etymology, from a word that connects to godparent. Think of it as a fairy godmother that is trying to pull you into false narratives to take up your time and energy because people are looking for an outlet. They are trying to draw power from you. You are powerful. So think about yourself as, do I want to put that plug in my battery that can only charge so many items, right? I have to charge my work, my family, my food. There's so many things. Do I want to charge a false narrative that does nothing but have me answer people's questions, which are founded on dramatic renditions of one little seedling of truth, and now it's become an entire field, an entire football field of grass and flowers and trees? I can't even find the seedling at this point. It's impossible to find. There was only one, and now it's become a forest. So truly, these people who love gossip have no idea that they're creating a godparent that is literally hovering over this person and trying to get them to engage and answer questions in this forest that they never created. And they're thinking to themselves, how did I get here? I remember there was this seed of truth here, which I cannot find. And now I'm answering questions about this oak tree, which I'm confused as how it even got here, because I swear the seed was for an apple tree. And I don't see one in this garden. That's why it's just best not to engage. And people always will couch it as, I have the best intentions. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with you. That's great. What's going on with you? How are you doing? What? It's a story. And imagine if you woke up and you could write your own story. Would you write in that story, I woke up that day and someone had fluttered into my room and they told me a story I had no knowledge of. And I decided that I was going to say that I was the character in that story, and I was going to defend myself because that character in that story had a completely different story, and they wanted that bird to know the truth. In that example, in that metaphor, you would tell the bird, thank you for the story. The weather looks great. Let's go outside and have a great day. And you would let the bird fly away and just think to yourself, that's weird. I don't know why that bird said that. That was completely wrong. I have so many things to do. I'm so glad I got that bird to leave. These false narratives connected to gossip are so enticing because we feel like our world is imploding and everyone is talking about it. The news cycle is very quick to change these days. You would be surprised how little people actually care, and you would be surprised how many of these people are meditating and praying and doing all of the spiritual things. But truth be told, they're gossiping every single day, pointing the finger, looking for any outlet to draw power from, and you just happen to be that power source for the week. So don't add power to it, because you're just going to prolong the length of time, and you're going to literally drain yourself. And usually if people are talking about you, you probably need your power for yourself because you are going through something. And I'm so sorry to hear that. God gives you what you can handle. There is so much going on behind the scenes, and people will never truly understand you. Hindsight is always 2020. And whenever somebody hears a story, they're automatically standing in the position of hindsight. So they automatically have 2020. So they're automatically going to see the things that should have been prevented or changed. And a beautiful person with a loving soul would see the solution and say, well, I've heard this story. The only thing I can do is present a solution. So here's my solution so that this doesn't happen again, so that we can fix the problem. Or maybe there's nothing that can be done other than just saying, I'm sorry that happened. I love you. I'm here for you. I don't know what happened where people became sound bites and not human beings. I don't envy that you need a soundbite. I don't need a soundbite. I am so busy with God, with my work, with my heart, with my life. That is why I have so much power, and people try to draw from me like an outlet. And that will happen to you as your heart grows, as your work grows, as your connection to Source and God grows, because you're a powerful outlet. People need power. They're going to try and draw it from you. So make sure you close your circuits and you make sure you know what's drawing power from you. And trust me, if they gossip about others, they're going to gossip about you. And talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. People want to talk. But when it comes time, to be there, actually, that is a rare occasion, and those people are the ones you want to focus on. The talkers have a lot to say, and they can fill the airwaves for days. But what actually lasts is action, presence, love, caring, right? And you don't need to engage in a false narrative by adding your airwaves to an already false narrative. Just let it fly by like a bird. Stand true in your authenticity. Allow yourself to know who you are. And anyone that wants to talk about you, automatically, just by talking to you, they themselves are tuning into the already created God parent. So depending on if they're leaning positive or negative, they're just going to automatically be honed into that positive or negative God parent that's already been created by all of the other people talking. It's going to be very hard for you to jump in there and combat a football field of trees when you're wondering where the apple seed went and they're all oak trees. And then B, you're also going to have to somehow go boss to boss with this juggernaut of a God parent that's been created for who knows how long from people that basically are seeing a knockoff version of you in this God parent. Is not you. Even if the narrative is positive, it's not you. Why am I talking about this with you? Why are you talking to me about this? This is not who you are, because who you are is right now. I can't even talk about the past you. I have a joke where I say, I'm writing my resume as we speak, so as you're reading it, you're already behind schedule. Look at me, talk to me, be present with me. And that's the only moment that you will know me. Because forever after, it will always be something we had, but I have already changed. And so for people to not understand that and to hold people to these past moments, many of which they weren't even there for, as opposed to having a moment in the now with them and truly actually experiencing this person and giving them that space, is a detriment to us all. And the fact that somebody would ever have to answer to something that they did from the past in a moment where I can experience you in the present does not allow that person to become the best version of themselves, because they're automatically not going to be present. Only in the present moment can you truly ground yourself, can you truly engage in original human thought, can you truly process things, and can you truly step into the energy that you're supposed to. And if you are in a stable place and you're speaking to somebody that is going through something, you are able to actually help that process move forward by being with them in the now and not asking them a single thing about anything. Because truthfully, just being with someone presently and looking at the sky is enough to ground someone's unique coding into themselves and remind them who they are. I have talked to people before where I say, oh, I met this person, they were very engaging, I had a great conversation, and then someone says, oh, well, 5 years ago, they did this. So I'm now supposed to judge this person from something that they did 5 years ago when I had a pleasant conversation with them. How is this person ever going to become their best selves when they're constantly battling a 5-year-old version of themselves? Do you know the difference of a baby and a 5-year-old? It's huge. It's huge. They can walk, they can talk, they can put on their clothes. They're not wearing a diaper. It's crazy different. But when we become adults, it's like 5 years is nothing, and I guess we don't change at all. How did that become the norm? If we're not changing as much as we change from 0 to 5, that's a problem. You're not present enough, because a child is present. That's why they change so much from 0 to 5. They are completely 100% engaged in their environment, and they change so much. Yes, a lot of the change is physical, right? But their mind is there. Have you spent time with them? They're absorbing everything. Their mind is a sponge. It is incredible. So why wouldn't you be changing as much in 5 years as an adult? I would guess it's probably because you're not as present as you were when you were 0 to 5, and you're not seeing things in the awe and wonderment of a child, because you are so caught up in these toxic, false narratives about people that really aren't in your world. Maybe you saw them once 2 years ago or on a post online. How is that present? I mean, seeing anything on your phone is automatically in the past. Even if you are on a phone call with somebody, that voice is being relayed to you. That's how crazy in the past the whole entire phone game is. We need to start being present, and you should be significantly advancing in your mental state in 5 years of life, right? Seriously. And if you need power, you should figure out a way to get it silently without drawing it from another, because that means that you don't have enough to sustain yourself, and now you're taking it from somebody that has figured out a way to sustain themselves. And now all of these people, that's a problem. You should be looking for a solution. You should not be engaging with these people and adding to this rhetoric. And now that you know that you're also adding to a God parent that is drawing this person into an inauthentic version of themselves that you could consider a knockoff, that's either positive or negative, is even more reason not to engage. Because when we create a God parent for somebody, it's supposed to be someone that cheers them on, that believes in their dreams, that gives them tools to access that and to achieve that. So if your gossip is not facilitating that, then you're on the wrong side of history, and you need to disengage. And you need to figure out a way to be on the right side of history, because that's where love is, and that's where finding that power is. And if you're looking for an outlet, that means that you don't have your own power. And we should all be able to access our own power. So thank you for being here today. I love you very much. I want you to be able to access your own power. And that's why I shared this message of understanding this whole gamut of things and why it's okay to disengage. Just because your friends think gossip is cool does not mean those should be your friends. The sooner that you get out of that friend group, the sooner you're going to be successful. I can guarantee you that. There is a plateau with people that gossip, and you will start to notice that very, very successful people hardly, if ever, do gossip. And just because somebody works at a successful company does not mean they're a billionaire. I'm talking about billionaires, since people are so focused on money, and that seems to be the requirement for success, which is also not realistic. Happiness should be your determinant of if someone is successful or not. It should not be an amount of money. Happiness. And if you're gossiping about somebody, and if you think that that person heard what you said, it would not make them happy, just know that energetically, they can feel it. Thank you for being here today. I love you very much. Go ahead and take a deep breath. Thank you for joining me today. It's a little more intense than usual, but it's an important thing to know, because it'll give you back your energy, and it will put you in a different echelon of life and new friends and new people and all of these great things. Thank you for being here. Aloha. Have a beautiful day.